and thanks for joining us here at the table. I'm chatting today with Rachel, Melody and Fiona. How are we, ladies?
Really good.
Good to see you. Well, coming up in the show, we're going to be talking about what age is appropriate to be leaving your kids at home alone. Would you give your child an illicit drug if it was going to help them? We've also got Mandy Makes, and G is going to be in the kitchen with Olive a little bit later. But first, our good old friend, the quick topics.
Ooh.
So this is a time where I give these girls a topic. They haven't had any warning. They don't know what it's about, but they're going to give us their raw thoughts on it. So I'm going to hit you up first with your career goal as a kid. Fiona, I'll start with you. Did you ever think of something when you were a kid that you really wanted to be?
I probably wanted to be the first Islander on Home and Away because there was no, coloured people on the shows that we watched. So I definitely probably wanted to be the first Samoan actress. Total fail.
Okay.
You can see that is yet to happen, and I've put those dreams to rest.
Right.
But you are on TV.
Oh, yeah, but definitely. I don't think Home and Away was ready for my bikini body. Probably isn't yet either. So.
Mine isn't so exciting. It was just being a veterinarian.
Right.
But yeah, I've
That's so smart.
Yeah.
Why is that sweet? That was, yeah, it's like
Animals.
a normal. Yeah.
You love animals?
I think at the time I thought I did, but I don't think I actually loved them as much as I thought I did.
Like the idea of them?
Yeah, the idea of them.
Yeah. Melody?
Wanted to be a policewoman.
Oh,
Really?
good for you.
Keep up the law.
Wow.
Oh, I don't know why.
Oh, good on you.
I
Well,
would have
anything...
never suspected that.
No, I wouldn't have picked that either. Anything I wanted to be is completely not me. So marine biologist and doctor was not even going to be close. Next one is a funny parenting moment. Had any funny parenting moments? I mean, kids are hilarious, but I'll even go with embarrassing here because you're looking a little blank, ladies.
Well, the one was when Elliot was just starting to climb stairs, and we were at a friend's place, and we had actually barricaded the area. And he somehow or other managed to remove the barricades, started crawling up the first step, and we're like, Elliot, no, Elliot, no. He looks at us, smiles, waves, continues up the stairs. When did you learn to wave?
I love it when they get a good attitude.
Yeah.
I think when they mimic you, because there's been times where I've been lecturing the girls for, misbehaving, and I'll say something like, Jesus gave you a brain, use your brain. And so what's happened is Allura turns around to her sisters whenever they're acting up and said, Jesus gave you brain, use brain. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, my mini-me, I've created some mini monsters. So I guess those things are hilarious.
Yeah, I think you definitely triggered something for me because Jax does similar. He can't talk yet, but one day I think I was telling him not to do something, so he turned to me, he said, so was shaking his finger at me. So yeah, It's like looking in a mirror sometimes.
It is.
A scary mirror.
It is scary when you see your own reflection through your kids' eyes.
It's frightening sometimes. And if you could give a shout out to someone right now, who would it be?
My mom. Hi, Mom. I don't know which camera, but...
My mom as well. Hi, Mom.
Mum's awesome. Go.
The whole family, the whole Lilio Tia tribe. We'll be shouting out to everyone.
I would give a shout out to my husband, Chris, as well, because he's homesick looking after three girls. So, he's doing it tough. Go, babe. You're doing good stuff. Well, we're going to move on. Now, there's a father who has written quite an interesting letter to a school in response to his daughter coming home. She's in grade 6. She came home telling about an excursion that she'd been on that was quite gender specific. So the boys in her class were sent off to Bunnings to learn about construction, and she and her other female classmates were taken to the library to have their hair done and learn makeup. So he writes this funny letter. I actually do want to read a little bit of this letter because I thought he wrote it quite well. Ruby left for school yesterday in 2017, but when she returned home in the afternoon, she was from 1968. And he goes on to say, is there a faulty flux capacitor hidden somewhere in the girls' toilet block? It was all in good humour. It wasn't, mean or anything, but the school hasn't responded. But what did you think of the excursion that she went on, the gender-specific excursion?
Did they have a choice? Were they able to have pick?
I don't know. If they had a choice.
They were. I think it's a tradition within this town that, the boys go on a specific excursion and the girls go on a specific excursion. And she said that she was interested in both. It wasn't that she didn't want to get her hair done and have her makeup done. She wanted to do both of them. She said she was interested in both ideas.
But it's just interesting. The problem though is that, well, if the girls could probably choose to go to Bunnings, but then what if the boy wants to choose to go to the library and get his hair and makeup done? What would happen then?
Well, that's what I thought too, because I thought there's probably a bit of pressure if all your friends wanted to go and get their hair done, but you were interested in Bunnings. Would you be strong enough to go, I'm going off in this direction? In year 6, What do you reckon?
Definitely. I think, personally speaking, I grew up with boys, so I probably would have been better off going to that makeup class. It definitely would have helped someone like me. So, because we always did boy activities. But I also think we shouldn't be relying on the schools to, apply gender-specific things. Perhaps at home we can teach those roles.
Well, do those roles start at home? Like, what toys did your kids have?
think
do your
definitely.
kids have? Did you give, you know, pink toys to your girls or blue trucky toys to the boys?
One thing I do notice about people who do gift toys to my children is that they're very gender specific. The girls have got kitchen sets and baking sets, and then I guess it's automatic. If I'm buying a gift for one of my nephews, it's a car toy. It's a car or a gun or something like that. So maybe we need to change that.
It reminds me back to like baby showers as well. I went to a baby shower where, you know, everyone knew that she was expecting a girl and everything she got was pink.
Pink.
That's why I never found out what my gender was, and everyone hated me for that because they couldn't find any gender neutral colours.
I think taking it a step back, you know, not from the activity as much or the toys, it's more the fact that they were taking the boys off to do something and the girls off to do something. And I think that there are talks that you would have with boys specifically and talks that you'd have with girls specifically. And we've often talked on the show about how boys like to talk around activities. They don't want to just stare someone in the eye and have a deep conversation. They like to do it around while they're doing something. So I think while the girl may have been disappointed she didn't get to go to Bunnings, we have to look at the fact that the school was maybe wanting to have a time where boys could do something together and they could have boy talk and girls could do something together and they want to have girl talk. And I think no matter what activity or toys you're playing with, there are specific things that boys and girls need to talk about.
Fair enough. I think I took bigger issue, this is me going off on a tangent, I took bigger issue with the fact that they were in Year 6 and they were being taught makeup. Do they really need that in Year 6?
Hey, I went to a childcare, I'm sure I was 4 years old, that us girls had makeup. We got to do makeup and the boys played with their toys and trucks in the sandpit. And I put nail polish on my eyes because I thought it was like mascara. I had no clue about makeup. Needless to say, my dad never sent me back to that childcare again. They did make a nice pea and mash though. I do remember that.
Well, look, you know, me and makeup, who cares? We're going to take you to someone who does care in the kitchen. We've got Gia and Olive and they're cooking some fruity ice cream. Have a look.
We are making fruity ice cream, and we want to just say that you probably see us making lots of ice creams during the summer. There is an awesome trick to make a good, healthy ice cream, and that is, hold on, frozen bananas. Do you like frozen bananas? So frozen bananas are a great way to make an ice cream creamy and healthy so that...
Slippery.
It is slippery. So that you can enjoy it with the whole family, and then when friends come over, you can take it out and everyone can have some. So the best time to freeze bananas is before, just before they go overripe, but when they're a little brown. So as you can see here, they've turned a little brown. And these are frozen, and you need, for this recipe, you need 3 frozen bananas. I'm gonna throw that in there. Oh, 3 frozen bananas. What else do you need for this recipe?
Maple syrup.
Olive's favourite, maple syrup. So it's 2 teaspoons of maple syrup, and you don't have to put the maple syrup in there because the frozen bananas are quite ripe and they're sweet. So we just like that extra sweetness. And mangoes, so 1 cup of frozen mangoes. They're cheap at the supermarket. So 1 cup of frozen mangoes. This is my version of a cup, so don't be scared to add extra if you want. And 1 cup of coconut cream, which is delicious in this recipe. And what else do we need? I think that's it. It's such a simple recipe. Let's get blending. Let me just give you some advice. If you don't have a strong blender, so a high-speed blender, just let it thaw for maybe 20 minutes. So let everything just sit there for 20 minutes before you start blending, okay? Let's go. Okay, we're done. It is so loud, isn't it? The consistency. It's like soft serve, just to start. But then, can you see that? Look how delicious that is. We love to just serve it, like after dinner, I make it and we just serve it on some fruit, which Olive has already eaten. I've got some fruit here. And, oh, you have to wait. You have to wait for that. Okay, there you go. So let it freeze overnight, and then when you're going to serve it, let it sit out for 20 minutes before you serve it, and it'll actually be like ice cream, the consistency of ice cream. Now it's like soft serve, and we love it like this because it's really creamy, and it is just like soft serve, a sweet soft serve. Enjoy.
That'd be perfect for summer.
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
excited to make that.
I wouldn't mind some right now, actually.
No, we need to sort of work a way that can sort of get into the studio if anyone's listening.
Bring
I'd really
in the
like
samples, Gia. Where are you?
Look, if you're interested in some more delicious and healthy recipes, I think we've got a book here that is free. It's from Sanitarium More, Nature's Superfoods. It's got some awesome recipes in here. All you need to do is write to us at hello@thetabletv.com, or you can give us a buzz. In Australia, all you need to do is call us on 1300 300 389, and for our New Zealand viewers, it's 0800 694 673. So all you need to do is write to us at hello@thetabletv.com. And if I didn't mention it before, this is a free cookbook. We're more than happy to send it to you, so just give us a buzz and get cooking. Well, there are 3 ways that you can, according to one article, there are 3 ways that you can actually ruin your marriage or strengthen it, according to an article in Pop Sugar. So I'm going to read these 3 ways to you. It's been written here by Catherine Strahl, and she said, what can make a marriage hard if you've got kids is there are no more easy date nights. True. It's harder to give when your personal needs aren't being met, and communication can get a lot harder. Those are the 3 things that she say can really ruin a marriage with kids or get ruined. And what can make it stronger is you can see each other in new ways. Nothing hotter than a great dad with his kids, and you have the greatest common bond, which is your kids. What do you think? Is there something that has sort of really tested your marriage when kids came along?
I think it definitely changed the marriage. It definitely is a change for the marriage. You know, it's a totally different focus for the marriage. I think we were a bit more carefree before. Like, we would travel, we wouldn't think too much about all of our responsibilities. So I think it's definitely a change. You know, definitely, if you were just signing up for, you know, this very relaxing kind of vacation-like relationship, and you decide to add a kid to the mix, then you probably signed up for the wrong thing.
But it's too late to go back. Like, you can't put the baby
You
back.
can't put him back.
I found that it's really the time. Like, you know, the time that I spend with my husband isn't quite the same anymore, and it's just a lot of the focus is on the kid already. And even we don't usually go on date nights or whatever, that kind of stuff. But just even hanging out on the couch together, that dynamics has changed, and I do miss that.
Or when you get to the couch, you're just exhausted from giving all that you have to these little beings.
Yeah.
I remember one time when we became parents, just that up and go, the ability to, you know, get up, go in the car and do whatever we wanted to do, it was gone. So I think I definitely missed that. But one thing I have learned is that we're more dependent on each other. We were definitely independent of each other in our marriage prior to kids. And having the kids has made us more reliant on each other, which can only bring us together. And I think that was good for me, being so headstrong, career-minded and whatnot. So
It's
That's
true,
a good
because one of the things that has really strengthened the marriage is, I've seen my husband in different eyes, like the fact that he has sacrificed so much and has so much patience. That just gave me a whole new level of appreciation for him.
a deeper kind of love, I think. It's more than just the superficial, he's, you know, this, that. For me, it's more selfless, I think, rather than all about what are we doing. It's all about what is our family doing as a unit.
Yeah, Fiona, when you were talking about being able to just get up and go, that's one of the things we love doing, was that spontaneity. Sometimes after work, I'd say, I'm coming into the city, let's just hang out. We find some crazy thing to do. And I think I really miss that, because now I'm thinking, bedtime, how's that going to impact tomorrow and the next day and the next day? So all the spontaneity, a lot of the spontaneity is gone, you know, where we could just pick up and do anything, or
For sure.
go away for the weekend.
Even
if we decided to.
financially, I know, you know, we went from big 5-star hotel to the big 4 parks. You know, we love a big 4 park in Australia, the holiday parks where they have kids things and whatnot. And that's the changes that we've had to adjust. But I love it. I love it.
I think another great thing is that you see the manifestation of your love, like right in front of you. You see, like, this is the object of our love, and you have a constant reminder of the love that you two have for each other in person, you know, like right there in front of you. And I think that's beautiful.
I think the one thing that I really resonated for me is that it is harder to give when your personal needs aren't being met. And it's really hard to give to them because you're both exhausted, you're both depleted, and it is one thing that can sort of ruin the communication and the relationship that you have. And when I first got married, I had a friend, this was long before kids, a friend said to me, when the days when you're looking at them and you just can't stand them, That's when you dig deeper and choose to find the love there and say something to them that you're thankful for, like each day. And that's never left me, because that's sort of the one thing where I go, okay, can't stand him, I'm digging deep. And you look for it, and there's something always to be grateful for, and that's something that has sort of helped carry me through some of those really hard times when you just really struggle to connect.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I think things can always be worse. You know, I always look at someone else's situation and think, no, you know what, I've got it pretty good. And I'm thankful to God for that. And that's another thing, just taking it back to God, keeping him as the head of our house, keeps things in perspective.
Very true. You know, actually, I was reading an article this week about a guy who he got a journal and he decided for 365 days he was going to write something that he appreciated about his wife, something different every single
Nice.
day. And he gave it to her as a Christmas present the next year. And she said, looking back, some of the moments where she was at her ugliest, he found something to appreciate about her. So I thought, you know, I really need to do something like that and just dig deep and really, you know, write down something different every day, like something specific that I really appreciate.
Just thinking about that gift, I'm like, I would cry if I got
Yeah.
something like that.
I think the daughter said, Dad, this is like a Hallmark movie. I can't believe you did this.
Yeah,
That's another thing.
takes a
Your
lot.
children are watching their parents interact, so you want to be able to show your children, this is how you work together. This is how, you know, marriage looks like. This is what love looks like.
And this is how you get over conflict.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, well, I think you're right. Like, I agree with what you said. Always take it back to God, and that's the place that I have to go onto my knees when things are getting really hard. But, you know, we always find a way back. That's it. Well, would you give your child illicit drugs if you thought it was going to help them? New research has come out saying that medicinal cannabis can actually help with epilepsy and different types of epilepsy. Now, in Australia, it's not easy to get hold of. It's known, I guess, as a recreational drug, but we're working towards getting it available to some of the families, some of the people that need it. Would you give your child this sort of thing if they needed it, even though it's not sort of through the system yet? Through the TGA?
I don't actually know, because like I did a little bit of research about it, and I'm trying to figure out why is it so bad, other than the fact that the government has said no. But the fact is, because medicinal cannabis, like the plant itself has got so many raw chemicals, it's really hard for them to pinpoint what is helpful and what isn't. So when you give it to them as medicinal, there may be actually bad side effects as well. The study is pretty good, like the study come through, but it was only on 100 people, and that's not huge at all.
But
So
there's risks also in giving them, you know, normal day medicine, antibiotics and whatnot. So I think I would. If it was helping my child, I definitely would.
How severe do you feel like the sickness or illness needed to be for you to feel like that was a good solution?
If that was the last resort,
Yep.
I wouldn't be like, okay,
You have
they've
a
got
cold.
epilepsy, that's it, we're giving you some marijuana, medicinal marijuana.
Yep.
If that was the last resort, I'd probably, would try that, because I would want my child to function and, you know, have a somewhat normal
this
life.
epilepsy is quite severe and even fatal for some people, so they're really
That's
trying
right.
to push it for this group of people to sort of get it through and cultivate it in Australia and sort of regulate our own industry.
I'm just really concerned though, because short term, like when you give it to them, it will help and you recognize that it helps. But what is going to happen in the long term? There hasn't been any long-term studies done.
That's
on
why
it,
they're
so-
doing, I guess, all these tests. You know, you've got parents who are really frustrated with the government for not pushing this through because it has shown to be helpful. But on the other hand, they are liable for anything that may go wrong in the future, as you say, and they need to sort of regulate this themselves and do that testing to make sure that it's as safe as it can be.
I might be going off on a tangent, but I do think I'm a bit naive when I say that I feel like the government tries to prohibit certain substances for power and control.
Yes and no, but they're also accountable, aren't they? So if something starts to go wrong, who's everyone going to blame?
But there's money to be made as well on both sides. For penalising people for taking marijuana or for medicinal purposes, there's money to be made, so the government can control that.
I kind of see where you're coming from, but I don't know. I guess because I went through that whole, when I was in 6th grade, drug abuse resistance education, it's very hard then to turn your brain the other way and think about some of these substances in another way. But a lot of the medicines we use now were previously, or if they're used or if they're abused, they are harmful as well.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, morphine and opium.
Yes.
That's all done. But the problem I have is not that. It's just that there just isn't enough research done on marijuana at the moment, and that it's fraught with danger because there is just, that's the science behind it and trying to get the medicine out of it. It's still a bit dicey.
It's also dicey because people are starting to try and source their own here, so it's not actually being regulated, and that can be an issue too.
Yeah. I think some people are very fine with, you know, giving medicine at home to their children or coming up with some concoction or going in the backyard and pulling a weed. But I think I'm a bit on the other side of, you know, more traditional and wanting to see the studies, or I trust more medical professionals, and maybe some people don't trust medical professionals, or, you know.
I thought you would be the natural alternative, so you wouldn't give it to Elliot if it was the last resort. You would, just...
But where would you get it from? Would you go to the street corner and find it to give it to your child?
There are some GPs who are registered to be able to administer it, not many, because they have to apply for that registration, so that it's not just your average GP, it might be more your corner.
I'm not saying that I wouldn't, because, when it happens, like, who knows what I would do.
Yeah.
But there is just a caution about the fact that what you think might help you may not actually.
Yeah, and until you know the facts, you don't want to put
I'd be
anyone
too
in harm.
scared, because then I'd have to bring that up to my medical professional and say, when they ask, okay, what have you done at home, or have you done anything? I'd have to tell them, and I don't know how that might interact with something else that they're using. I don't know how all the drugs interact with one another. So I wouldn't feel skilled enough to administer marijuana in my home to my child.
Yeah, I don't know that. I would be in the same line as you. I wouldn't feel skilled enough to do it. I'd be scared. But, when your kid's in a situation where they're so desperate and you need something, not just to help them feel better each day, but to literally survive, how far would you go? I think I would, if I could find a way to do it, I would. And if that's what it involved, I'd probably have a crack at it. But you never know until you're in that situation.
Obviously, I'd consult with other parents who have done the same thing. I wouldn't just, go to the street corner and get some... from my local dealer. No. Who is my local dealer? I'm joking. But seriously, I would consult first, obviously, and maybe go down that
I think with what you're saying, there probably are countries where they are administering it. So I'd probably be more likely to take my kid on a plane to some other place where it's actually being administered and be under the care of a doctor.
Yeah.
But that's probably...
If you're that desperate, because obviously, like you said, it's life, life-threatening.
And I do recognise the fact that parents will go to any length.
Any length, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Would anyone be concerned that if they did it, it could sort of lead to addiction later in life?
For their child?
Yeah, for their child.
Well, that's why
Hopefully not for themselves.
Wouldn't it be controlled?
They actually filter out different stuff. Right. So it's different. The thing that they're afraid is that, you're growing that for medicinal purposes, but then what you grow could be used for
other purposes.
California, I think it's legal, and it seems to be doing well over there for a lot of people who use that.
It would be doing well for people.
That's why they're all in La La Land.
That's why they're happy.
They're all in La La Land over there. But I don't see why it's being so prohibited over here. If it's doing good for the company. Again, I go back to government regulation, money, power, control.
Yeah, well, they're saying that they don't have enough studies behind it to sort of go down that road just yet, but they're at least looking into it. They're at least going down that road and not ignoring it completely.
I think it's just being cautious. They're just trying to be cautious to make sure that they're not allowing something that would...
Well, staying along the lines of something natural but isn't illicit, we've got Mandy. She's making some natural summer skin spray. Take a look.
Normally it's in the summertime where we experience dry, itchy skin and the dreaded sunburn. So I'm going to show you how to make a simple summer skin spray to help relieve all of those summer skin problems that we have. So we just have a very few basic ingredients that you will need for this. We need some warm water, some Epsom salts, some apple cider vinegar, and lastly some lavender essential oil. So we're just going to start off with half a cup of our warm water. To that, I'm going to mix in 1 tablespoon of Epsom salts, half a tablespoon of some apple cider vinegar, and our very last ingredient is our lavender essential oil. Lavender essential oil is kind of the Swiss Army knife of the essential oils. It is perfect for any skin problem that you are facing. It is particularly great with itchy bites. So we're going to pop about 5 to 10 drops of this in here. Then we're just going to mix it all up until our Epsom salts are all dissolved. So you'll just need some kind of spray bottle to put this in to store it in. All you have to do is simply spritz this on your skin to relieve the sunburn, relieve the itchiness of some of those nasty bug bites. We'd love to hear from you if you try this, so let us know on our Facebook page at The Table TV Show what you think of this. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.
Looks interesting. Would you try it, girls, after sunburn?
I think it must work because she looks really good.
She does look good.
Really,
There you go. Well, Essential Kids have raised the topic recently of what age would you leave your kids at home alone? Now, my kids, I would never leave at home alone. They're too young at the moment, and I know it's the same for... 8, 6 and 4. Gee, I had to think about that for a second. No, that's a worry. But I wouldn't leave them home alone at 8, 6, definitely not 4, although the 4-year-old could probably actually handle it well. But the debate still rages, you know, is it 12? Because Queensland have the cutoff of sort of the 12 mark, but the rest of Australia don't have a legal age, but you can be held legally accountable for leaving kids in a dangerous situation. But what are you aiming for, Fiona?
I think when I know that they are able to stay home by themselves and make a phone call if something was wrong. Right now, they're way too young. They're like under 3. No, that's not going to happen. But I'll tell you what, growing up, my parents used to leave me at home. I was 4 years old.
Really?
Yeah, they did.
For how long?
It's probably what.
Yeah, for how
and you know
long?
what? Maybe a couple of hours before the boys would come home from school. My older brothers would come home from school, so 3 o'clock. So always in the daytime.
Did they have to go to work?
Yes, they would go to work. Like, Mum would do like part-time jobs just to squeeze me in. That's when there was no one there to look after me. People might call it child abuse, but I just think it was normal back then.
Yeah.
But it's probably why the night before we'd watch Australia's Most Wanted. Growing up now, I don't like staying home by myself, and I actually call family members and be like, "Come over, stay over the night." And it's probably from being traumatised as a young kid, like watching, you know, when is my brother's coming home, sort of thing. But hey, as families, we did what we had to do.
Yep. That's the thing. Families sort of do what they have to do, and there's that whole lot like latchkey sort of generation of kids who come home after school. Mum and dad are at work. They've got to get a key in the house and they're on their own for an hour or two.
But I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it
But
to
you're
my
4.
kids. Yeah.
I was latchkey.
Okay.
From when I was about 13.
Yep.
But so that's a bit older then. Yeah. And I didn't really like it, to be honest. I knew why my parents had to do it, but it's really sad to come home to an empty house.
Yeah. How long were you home for before they got home?
I came home in the afternoon, probably 4 hours or so.
4 hours.
Wow.
That's
But you
decent
also had a
time.
younger brother as well, or was he, not born yet?
Not born. Well, he was with my grandmother, so it's a complicated family.
But you wouldn't do the same with your children. I don't. Yeah. Oh, okay.
I think it depends. I wouldn't leave him alone now at 1.5.
Of course not.
But you know, I think you really just have to see the maturity level of the kid.
Yeah. I was obviously really mature. Thanks, Mum and Dad.
I think it's kind of what you're saying, though. It's like they're capable, but it's still lonely, you know? So they're able to do it. They know all the numbers to call and stuff, but it's still that you come home from school and you're by yourself. But I understand parents that have to do it, you know? It's a really hard question. It's a really hard thing to think about. If you have to do it, then, you know, what can you do? You know, you just prepare your child as much as possible for it.
That's the thing. You've got to ask yourself a few questions. Does my child know all that important information on what to do if something goes wrong? All those numbers. If they've got siblings at home, could they look after them effectively? Oh, look, it's always up for debate. It depends on how old your child is and the maturity level, because sometimes you let your younger kids go earlier. Who knows?
Yeah.
My parents never let me. Time to finish the show today. Sorry, that's all we've got time for. If you'd like to know more or say your piece, jump onto Facebook and have your say there. We will see you next week. Bye.